deeply honored to join you today to recognize the bravery of all of those, like John Haddock, who participated in the D-Day landings. Our guests of honor today are those veterans from the Normandy landing that came from across our nation and from all walks of life to join in the fight against tyranny.
Those who gathered here in Portsmouth would never forget the sight. It was by far the largest military fleet the world has ever known. Yet all knew that both victory and failure were possible, and none could know their fate. At this remove, 8 decades later, it is a near impossible task to imagine the emotion of that day.
New developments in Donald Trump's classified documents case. Judge Eileen Cannon is expanding an upcoming hearing on the former president's request to declare Jack Smith's appointment as special counsel invalid. Trump's lawyers want Judge Cannon to throw out the case. Trump has attacked, of course, just about every judge he's encountered in his legal battles, except this one, Eileen Cannon, who he happened to appoint. The former president has frequently praised her in public, describing her as smart and highly respected. On Tuesday, Judge Cannon ruled a variety of political partisans and constitutional scholars who are not otherwise involved in the case can join the oral arguments in 2 weeks. Elliot Williams, how normal is this?
Not normal at all.
Okay.
There is literally no reason why the judge needs to have additional folks come in at the oral argument. Now, it is a very common practice. The Supreme Court does it all the time to have parties, outside parties called amicus submitters, right, to file briefs on the court that lay out their views, and the judge can read them and help them in crafting her opinion. But she doesn't need to have this free-for-all open argument where multiple parties, no matter how great their scholarship has been, they don't need to be arguing in court. And this question that they're raising here, this question of was Jack Smith appointed lawfully, it came up in the context of Robert Mueller. Hunter Biden has raised it, and it's lost every single time. So the idea that the question needs to be reopened now and litigated is just sort of silly.
Well, I mean, the question, I think, throughout this case has been whether, you know, the unorthodox way Judge Cannon has approached this is a result of her relative inexperience or some sort of bias toward the defendant. And the upshot of all of it has been to delay the case repeatedly. There's been, you know, multiple times over the course of this case where she's sort of indulged motions from the defense or put things on the calendar, decided to consider things at length, or just not sped up the case in a way that I think makes watchers of this case, particularly who are not so sympathetic to the defense, very frustrated and exasperated, because the end result of it all has been that this is not going to trial anytime soon. And I think that's what people are concerned about. You know, in polling, when we ask voters, would you like to see these cases reach a verdict before the election? Resoundingly, large majorities of American voters say yes, they would like to have this information about how these cases are going to be disposed in the legal system before they go to vote, but that is just not going to happen.
Well, and Matt Gorman, I mean, there's sort of a sense, at least among Republicans I talked to, that maybe this classified documents case was the most dangerous one for Trump, only because of its sort of simplicity in being able to understand what was going on, and sort of the general feeling that, well, if I took something classified home from my office, right, that would obviously not be legal. And yet, it's probably the least likely of all of them to actually see a verdict.
It's true, and if you remember back in the primary, it was the only case where another Republican candidate attacked Trump on. I believe it was Nikki Haley, I know did, maybe one other, but I remember Nikki Haley doing it vividly. And so you're right, you have like this weird little conundrum, because while the New York case, you know, while it was litigated, etc., it was a little bit more technical, it was tougher, but also a tougher jury pool, tougher judge. You have a little bit more Trump-appointed judge, maybe a little bit more sympathetic jury pool, but the facts of the case are quite different, and according to many people, maybe a little bit more clear-cut.
Yeah.
Hunter Biden's ex-wife has taken the stand to testify for the prosecution in his federal gun trial.
That's right. The president's son is accused of lying about his drug use when he bought a gun back in 2018. Biden's attorneys continued their cross-examination of an FBI special agent this morning who detailed Biden's alleged drug use through his own audio recordings.
Scott McFarlane is outside of the courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware. Scott, what are we learning from Biden's ex-wife's testimony?
Oh, the questioning started and finished very quickly from the special counsel's prosecutor. About 10 minutes only of initial questions for Kathleen Bewley. What the prosecutors were trying to get at is, did she know Hunter Biden was addicted to drugs during the period of time near the end of their marriage? And she said yes. She found a crack pipe on the deck of their Washington, D.C. home in mid-2015, that she would then regularly search his car to make sure there weren't drugs inside the car, because she testified the kids drove the car frequently, and she testified that she did indeed find drugs on occasion, that she pressed him to go into rehab near the end of their marriage, which ended in 2017. He initially refused. She testified that eventually did so. This is a period of time that predates the alleged crime. He's accused of unlawfully possessing a gun while using or addicted to drugs in late 2018. Their marriage ended in spring 2017. But prosecutors are beginning a drumbeat here as the afternoon began of women in relationships with Hunter Biden who will testify they knew, and he knew, he was addicted to drugs before buying that gun.
So interesting, Scott, because you have Hunter's own words in his memoir being used against him, as well as relatives. I understand the prosecution plans to bring Hallie Biden, that's his late brother Beau's widow, to the stand. What is significant from her testimony do they expect?
That could happen as early as late today, and it could push into tomorrow. Hallie Biden, Beau Biden's widow, was in a romantic relationship with Hunter during the period of time in question, in the fall of 2018. In fact, she's testifying here under an immunity agreement with the special counsel's prosecutors because she is poised to testify about her drug use with Hunter Biden. The key to this whole case for prosecutors is they say Hunter Biden knew he was using or addicted to drugs when he applied to buy that gun and didn't check the box for drug use on the required form. He faces 2 counts of making false statements and pleaded not guilty. The 3rd count is unlawful possession of the gun while using or addicted to drugs. He's also pleaded not guilty to it, but what prosecutors are seeking to glean from these sets of testimonies is that Hunter Biden very much knew he was a drug user or drug addict in or around October 2018.
So, Scott, how long do we expect this trial to last?
Well, this is moving faster than we expected so far, but the estimate from both parties is that 1 to 2 weeks is the likely time frame. And when they were selecting jurors on Monday, they ensured the jurors were at least available through next Friday, June 14th. It's possible the jury gets this case earlier mid next week, and then, of course, the jury, as they are across America, works on its own timetable.
All right, Scott McFarlane, thank you.
It's pretty interesting that the timing of all of this. Certainly, you could imagine that there were probably some polls that showed the White House and the Biden campaign that they must do more. President Trump is way up ahead on them on the issue of immigration. So Biden's crackdown goes into effect when the border is overwhelmed. And that is defined as a week where illegal crossings average 2,500 per day. And we continue, though, to see scenes like this one.
This is America. See the red lights? That's Border Patrol. Straight. No. San Diego. See the lights? San Diego. Okay, thank you.
Bill Melugin will never forget that moment. Right? You got about 8 million have crossed the border illegally since Biden took office. The new order would allow at least 1.8 million, however, 1.8 million into the country every year.
Bill Melugin is live in Jacumba, California with more. Hi, Bill.
Dana, good morning to you. It was business as usual out here last night. President Biden's executive order took effect at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. local, so we drove around all the hot spots out here as the sun was setting. We did not see any sort of migrant rush trying to get in before that executive order took effect. We'll show you what we did see. Take a look. This was at sunset, 30 minutes before midnight Eastern. All we saw was this little group of mostly Chinese and Vietnamese illegal immigrants who had come across. But once midnight hit, they were still being processed. And it's not like an alarm went off and all these Border Patrol agents came out and started blocking everybody. The agents just did their jobs, processed them, and took them away. We'll show you what we saw earlier earlier in the afternoon out here, though. Take a look at this. This was a bigger group of predominantly Middle Eastern men who crossed illegally here in Jacumba. Several of them, those special interest aliens we're talking about, meaning they were coming from countries that DHS has concerns about for potential national security or terrorism issues. They're supposed to get additional vetting. Caught up with several guys from Jordan, Egypt, and Turkey. Take a listen. Jordan. Yeah. Why'd you come to Egypt? Why'd you come to America?
For a job.
For a job?
Yeah.
You know it's illegal to cross the border like this, right?
Yeah.
You don't care?
Yes, I'm okay.
Hi guys, where are you guys from?
Egypt.
What country? Egypt?
Egypt.
Where are you from? What country?
I am from Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah.
All Turkey?
Kurdish. Yeah. America. I love America. I love you. I love America.
Where are you from?
From Egypt.
Egypt.
America.
Egypt. Guys, we got some pretty stunning data from our CBP contacts. Since October 1st here in San Diego sectors, there's been about 260,000 illegal immigrants apprehended by Border Patrol. We're told of that number, 78% of them have been released into the United States. And we're told that's primarily because a lot of the people crossing here are coming from countries where it is very difficult to deport people. They're not afraid of deportation. You heard that Jordanian guy tell me when I asked him, you don't care about crossing illegally? He says, yes, I don't care. We'll send it back to you.
Well, there's good reason for that. They're not, they have common sense, and they're looking at this and picking it up for what it is. Thank you, Bill.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
This launch, a decade in the making. This is really the beginning of NASA's dream of making commercial spaceflight a reality, and not just a reality with SpaceX, but with multiple providers. The Centaur engine, I believe, has ignited. So what we're seeing right now is these two stages still mounted together. So you have the bottom half of the Atlas V rocket and these two solid rocket boosters that have separated from the rest of the spacecraft and will essentially never be used again. They're totally expendable. But these two now continuing on into space, and then just the capsule in about 24 hours, hopefully rendezvousing with the space station.